Okay, today I just wanted to go over real quickly what it was like for the cluster administrator to set up a tenant. I'm going to be using the defaults as far as storage location, and of course I'll point out that you can use other options, but I'm not going to go into that because I want to keep this basic. So first of all, let me log in as a administrator for the cluster. This is the first thing you see when you log in as a cluster administrator. You get some report information and some other basic information. Normally you would set up a tenant. If there was only one tenant in the cluster, you would probably go to the default cluster. If you didn't intend to create any more, that's all you need to do. If you want to create one from scratch, you would go to add a new tenant, and then you just put in some basic information. Okay, so you could set a storage plan here, or you could set it to unlimited. Now, if you were setting this up with per tenant branding, then you would want to go ahead and put in your custom domain here for this tenant. I'm going to leave it blank. I've got these options selected. They're the defaults. Tenant never expires. Allow tenant to attach cloud storage. Allow tenant to edit branding setting. Allow creation of guest users. Allow tenant to edit LDAP settings and view and edit group policy. So we'll leave all that to the defaults. Hit continue. Now I'm going to assign a subfolder in the cluster default tenant storage, but you can vary this. You could go with file server for local disk storage. You could also go to using a cloud storage option. Go ahead, continue. So here's a summary of what I've set up. Create. So the first user that's been added here is the tenant administrator, which was created when I set it up. I can go ahead and add another user. Okay. You can establish a quota for their storage space if you'd like here. So I'm going to go ahead and set a password. This user must change password. I'm going to deselect that, and I'm not going to send a welcome email because I've got this set up just as a test. Essentially, if this is all set to the defaults, that user will receive a couple of emails that include login information and location so that they can set up a new password. Alright, so we don't have a share for this user yet. I could set that up here because I didn't establish one already. I'm going to do that. We'll call this tenant 2 team folder. And we'll leave it to the defaults. There it is. Now I'm going to give this user read and write access and commit. So now you can see we have this new folder that was created. And this user was added as a collaborator. And here we have our users for this tenant. The tenant admin and the first user that was added. So something that you might want to do right away is set up a local Active Directory to get access to AD users and migrate their permissions. I'm going to go ahead and add a local Active Directory connection. We hit Edit and then Enable, and then we just enter our information here. Okay, so that is connected. We have advanced settings here if you need those. I'm going to leave it as is. We can close this. Now you can see that that local Active Directory is connected. And now when I hit Add a new user, one of my options is that Active Directory. And I can go there to select groups and users as needed. I'm going to go back. Now I want to show you really quickly how you would go in and modify this tenant's branding. So we go over here to the shortcut, so we choose Tenant Branding, and now I can go in and hit Edit, and I can alter these settings. I could change the name, the user interface theme, or I can create a custom theme color if you have a specific color scheme that you're looking for. I can alter the URLs for contact page and other pages, and then hit Apply. So we also have access to other settings here. Web portal. This will affect the look of your portal. You can also brand the client download, the Windows client, the Mac client. You can set up your emails. We've got some default template information here which you can alter. So that's the basic setup for your tenant branding. While you're looking over the shortcuts, you might want to check out some of these other options here. We have the tenant plan, which you can modify here. Back at the tenant dashboard, we have access control, and there's a lot of settings in here where you could turn off like the creation of guest users and other features, like allowing a tenant to attach external cloud storage. We have reports, so you can look at file upload by your users. Under here we've got other reports, storage statistics, team folders, shared objects, audit trace, file change logging, folder permissions, distributed logs, pending, purged. We have group policy. In group policy of common settings, account and login, folder and storage, and client control. You can see all these settings here. It goes into more details in the administration guide. We have the control panel, where you would add any tenant administrators that you wanted to use to manage this for you. Single sign-on, Azure AD notifications, Active Directory, Device Manager, Application Manager, SharePoint Online, email service and background tasks. Guest users. Any guest users that have been created could be managed here. Roles. The roles and groups can go together. For instance, if I wanted to add a new role, this is where I can create what operations are able to be taken care of by this particular role, and then assign that role to a group, and then assign users to that group. So a lot of flexibility there. So that's the basics, and I hope it was helpful. Please look at some of our other tutorials and videos to find out more. Thank you.